Welcome to the Business Spotlight Series. I'm Karen Barnes, your host for today's episode, and we have with us today Tiffany McDowell. She is the owner of Joybar Coffee with multiple locations, and we're going to talk about that here in just a minute, and an amazing origin story that I can't wait for you to hear. So we're going to talk about her path into business, some of the things that she's learning along the way, her big why, and what it's really like to run a busy multiple location coffee shop. So first, a little housekeeping, guys. If this is your first time on the channel, hit all the buttons, please. Subscribe, like, share all this, because this is going to be good stuff that everybody is going to want to hear. So Tiffany, welcome to our conversation this morning. And just first, give us an overview of Joybar Coffee, how you got started and what you're all about.
Thank you so much. So my name is Tiffany McDowell. I am the proud owner of Joybar Coffee Company. We are fairly new into this realm of business. I have not always been in coffee. I started my career in sales at a local company, Old Dominion Freight Line, oddly enough. Went into pharmaceuticals and had a wonderful career. Loved it so much. President's Club, all the things that I think the world defines as success. I experienced them, had the opportunity to go to graduate school through corporate tuition assistance, got my master's degree, was really enjoying life. And I really felt moved at some point in my life, specifically after losing my mom to breast cancer, that I've really been called to something more. So along with being a business owner, I'm also a very proud big sister to Mallory, who is a woman with Down syndrome. And so Mallory is 34 years old this year. We lost our mom her senior year of high school, so almost 14 years ago. And that was really when I stepped into a caregiver role where my mom had provided all of the things that my sister needed as a child through school, tons of resources, lots of tools that children can use who have intellectual and developmental disabilities. But once they graduate from high school, the biggest hurdle becomes achieving an independent life and primarily finding employment. So we went through all of the things that we were supposed to do to get government assistance to help her get job coaching and vocational rehabilitation, and ultimately was put on a waiting list we are still on today, almost 15 years later. And I just decided, if I want it for Mallory, maybe I'm the one who's supposed to create it. So we fast forward just a couple of years. So we lost our mom in 2009. In 2012, we started a small jewelry business called Mallory Page Designs. And it's a faith-based company, and we make jewelry that includes the incorporation of a mustard seed that comes from Matthew 17:20. With faith the size of a mustard seed, you can tell this mountain to move from here to there, and it will go, and nothing will be impossible for you. So our motto was, we move mountains for adults with disabilities. And the model was very cool. Mallory made a commission on every piece of jewelry that we sold. We had a huge social media following. To this day, we have over 500,000 TikTok followers, I think 17,000 on Instagram. But I could really only make a difference in Mallory's life because she was really the only one benefiting from the work we were doing. So I've always loved coffee. I think the majority of the population thinks, like I thought, like it would be a great thing to open a coffee shop. How hard could it be? Let me tell you, it's a lot harder than it looks. But we have been so blessed, and so many doors have opened. In 2022, just kind of through word of mouth, I learned that a local coffee shop was for sale in High Point, a very beloved coffee shop called 83 Custom Coffee. And so I reached out to completely unannounced to the owner and just poured my heart out for doing good through operating a business and what my model was going to be. And we weren't the only ones interested in buying this coffee shop, and yet God saw fit to make it so that we could buy it. And in mid-February of 2023, we took ownership of 83 Custom Coffee. So we just celebrated a year in business. And we are in the process of opening a second location. So 83 Custom Coffee is located at 1212 North Main Street in High Point. Our second location is located at 2513 East Chester Drive in High Point, near like the Wendover Ski Club intersection. Very, very busy area of town. Our soft launch target date is Good Friday, March 29th. And once we open that location at East Chester, we will rebrand 83 Custom Coffee to Joybar Coffee as well. The Joybar Coffee comes from a promise that we want to make to our customers, that when you come into our shop, you will experience something different than what you experience in the outside world. Because I firmly believe that people like my sister are a source of joy that most of the world is missing out on. So we put them front and center, my sister, and we're actively hiring employees, but we have a role called the experience facilitator. And these are the individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities that are paid to ensure that every experience at Joybar Coffee exceeds our customers' expectations. So their primary role is, if someone places an online or a curbside order, they are the personal drink runners. So you will have an interaction with someone that you may otherwise not have had the opportunity to speak to. We're also hiring cashiers and baristas, but I really feel like there is an opportunity to put people like my sister front and center so that the world values them as much as we do. So in addition to our 2 brick and mortars, we also have 2 mobile coffee units. One is currently parked at Old Dominion Freight Line and serves their employees Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. And the other one is specifically for events, parties. We've done bridal showers, weddings, graduations, campus, different events at like High Point University. So there is actually a tab on our website if you're interested in a mobile coffee booking. You can reach out to us through there to book our mobile coffee unit.
So, I mean, just take my money. That is absolutely beautiful. And I'm just, your sister is so lucky to have you in her corner, and you're lucky to have, this source of joy in your life that is your sister. And, so you sound like what's the role that you play in the business? It sounds like your fingers are all over this. So what's your role in making all of this come to life?
So I currently operate like a general manager. So I'm in all the finances, all the budgets, the hiring, the setting performance standards. Eventually I would like to take a role where I'm working on the business more than I'm working in the business. But
Amen.
as you probably know, with a startup, there are days that I'm a barista. There are days that I get behind the bar. I left my corporate job in June of this past year. So I went from being a regional sales director, managing a team of 10 sales reps that covered up to a quarter of the United States, to slinging espresso shots behind the bar, because I wanted to know what it was like for my staff. What does a day feel like? How can I make improvements if I don't truly know what they're experiencing? So I took about 6 months to be trained and go through, all of the steps to understand what it's like to be a barista. So I'm working in the business, on the business. I take out the trash, I mop the floors, all of the things I ask my staff to do, I'm currently doing it alongside them.
Yeah. So you're probably putting in a lot of hours every week.
Yeah. I'm not even sure I could count them, honestly.
Yeah.
It's impossible to keep up with it, because you eat it, sleep it, dream it. It's every waking hour. I'm also a wife and a mom and a caregiver. So there's this like delicate balance of, how do I make sure it's not all consuming? But truth be told, the first couple of years of business, you almost can't avoid it consuming.
Been there, done that, sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a new business, you're probably, you're telling your story a lot. So what's one thing that you wish more people knew about your business?
think if I boiled everything that we are doing down to like one idea, it's you don't have to be a charity to do good work. And I
Mm,
wish more businesses, I mean, we're an LLC, we have no volunteers. I don't believe in a volunteer model that includes employees who are on fixed incomes and struggle with finances because of that. So
yeah.
it's the model we adhere to is called competitive integrated employment. And what that means is like the majority of my staff are typically abled individuals.
Mhm.
However, we make a point to create positions that support and give resources to someone who has a intellectual or developmental disability because they do offer valuable work. We just have to understand how they work best and how that can make
Mhm.
our business better. So if I could teach my fellow business owners anything, it would be competitive integrated employment because we can't do this alone. We need more businesses that understand people like Mallory do offer valuable work and your customers will respond positively to them. You just have to figure out how to create those positions for them. It's not a charity. They don't work for free. They will never work for free for us. And that's the thing that I'm trying the hardest to change is they deserve pay and they deserve the integrity of employment.
Absolutely. I have several members of my family who are differently abled and have just struggled to, find meaningful work. And um, what you're doing is amazing. And I hope so many people will watch this and be completely inspired to replicate your model
Thank
in the
you.
businesses that they're doing. So let's talk a little bit about like getting your story out. You're still pretty new. So what are you doing in terms of marketing? How's that working for you?
Yeah, this is the area that I think has kind of gone on the back burner just in the building of the business and having been in sales all of my life, I want to say I know better, but sometimes you just have to focus on the things that are the most critical. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, marketing is important, but opening the doors is urgent and
Yes.
important. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll get into the important things when I'm in a position where I can focus on them. So marketing is really all social media at this point. I'm blessed to have a following on our former, or it's still existing Mallory Page Designs, but that's been sort of the conduit to bring those people into Joybar and to understand like how we're evolving as a business from making jewelry really only benefiting one person with a intellectual or developmental disability and now creating a model so that we can support more people. So social media has been it. We're also very, very lucky geographically to be so close to High Point University, which is also my alma mater, which is very cool. I graduated in '05, so it's been many moons, but I'm still very proud of my roots at HPU. So many of those students love 83 Custom Coffee and are excited about Joybar opening. We a lot of the business students reach out to interview us. We've had numerous media students reach out and do videos for us. And it's just been, it's very cool to see how the community supports a business that they love and then in turn tries to give back to the business. So even though we're not a charity, we're not a 501c3, like it's just always amazing to see how they're supporting us and getting the word out for our business for us. I don't intend to make that the only way we do marketing, but for right now, what a blessing that we have it.
Absolutely. I mean, your story is incredible and compelling. And, I just see I'm a former marketer, so I just see like so many ways. So you've been really on this journey, obviously with your sister your whole life, but in this business together for just really a short time. But I'm sure you've learned some pretty tough lessons pretty quickly. So, other than the days are really, really long, like what are some of the big hurdles that you've encountered and some of the challenges you've come across and how have you, jumped those hurdles so far?
Or I think perception has been one of the biggest hurdles and by perception, I mean when you're trying to change a mindset, really of two groups of people. So, of a population that maybe did not consider adults with intellectual or developmental disabilities in their daily life, like calling their attention to sort of the injustices of what's happening to adults with
Mm-hmm.
disabilities. It makes people uncomfortable. But also, I have found that there have been so many caregivers that are afraid to seek employment for people who have disabilities because there's a myth that they'll lose their benefits. And that is not true. So I also believe that I'm going to have to bring the truth to them. For example, if you get Social Security, whenever you receive employment, you have to report your wages. And
Mm-hmm.
so your benefits will decrease by some percentage. But if you add your wages to the benefits that you still receive, an intellectual or an individual with a job who has a disability will always make more money in the long run than someone who only receives Social Security benefits. So I think it's educating caregivers who mean well that it's not scary to seek employment and there's dignity in being employed and being paid.
Mm-hmm.
So I even had some preconceived notions about my sister's access to her Social Security benefits and to Medicaid and Medicare. And, if my sister lost her health insurance, I can't carry health insurance on her. So that's terrifying. But I've learned that as long as an individual makes less than $40,000 a year, they will not lose Medicaid. So I don't know any barista that's making $40,000 a year just because it's part-time work and it tends to be, a transient industry. So it's not about, making them millionaires. It's about giving them the dignity of work, and work that they're paid for. So I think we have to reframe, years, possibly centuries of thinking between the typically abled population and that we should be opening doors for people who are different from us, and then for the differently abled population, and that it is not scary. And in fact, there's a lot of dignity in seeking and gaining employment for our loved ones with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
Yeah, that is powerful. That's not even something I could have imagined would be a barrier is, thinking about the regulatory gamut that has to be navigated, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's an entirely new layer whenever we are a mission driven business. Again, we're not a
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit, but there is definitely something that serves as a catalyst to why we're doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the population does not know, because why would you, unless you're directly caring for someone that has a
Sure.
disability? There, you have other things that you have to worry about. So again, like educating the public about some of these injustices, it can make people uncomfortable. And that's, I don't do that with malintent, but I love to teach. It's one of my spiritual gifts. I love to teach people. So there's this, that we have to again change the perception of both of those groups of people.
Absolutely. So let's look forward a little bit. Let's look, 3 to 5 years down the road. I mean, you're already opening a second location. You've got these two mobile units. Like, what does Joy Bar look like in 2029?
I would love for Joybar to become a major coffee chain. Like it would do my heart so good. I'm not going to say the names of the major coffee chains, but y'all know who they are. And I think we have the ability to affect change with just minimal effort on an individual basis. And so if we were to give the public an opportunity, you're going to go get a cup of coffee somewhere. If there were enough joy bars around that you could always choose a joy bar to go get your coffee and know that your money is benefiting a business model that creates employment opportunities for someone who didn't previously have them, I think people vote with their money. People want to do good. We just don't know how to do good. So if we make doing good easy for them, then they're going to support our business model. So my dream is I would love to open in the next 5 years, one joy bar a year. After opening this one on Eastchester, I kind of need a breather. But there's, I'm hiring experienced facilitators for Eastchester right now. We'll have roughly starting out 6 positions. There are thousands of adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities that need jobs, that want jobs. And so if one location can hire 6, maybe up to 10, then I have a lot of work to do to make sure that my company is one of the major employers of these people. But hopefully our model influences other businesses to see that, we can't be the only ones doing this work. So I want to open more, but I also want to convince my peers and my fellow business owners to do the same thing.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to change the energy level here just a little bit. I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. These are just like short little questions and short little answers. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. It's a little bit like a game show. So here we go. What is the key to success for you?
Passion. Knowing why you do what you do.
Having a beautiful why, and you do. You have an amazing why. What's your best piece of advice for other business owners?
Get a great accountant. And a good accountant is worth his or her weight in gold.
Couldn't agree more. We have a saying here. So you need an accountant, an attorney, and an action coach. Those are the 3 A's you need in your business.
There you go. There you go.
So what's a book or a podcast or something that you're reading lately that you would recommend to others to keep them, learning about being a better business owner?
So I listen to a ton of podcasts. None of them have anything to do with business. They are all faith-based. But if I'm going to recommend a book, Talk Like Ted by Carmine Gallo is one of my favorites of all time. And it's on the importance of being able to clearly share your story as if you were giving a TED Talk. So Talk Like Ted by Carmine Gallo, 10 out of 10, highly recommend.
I love it. I love it. So if you had to choose one area of your business where you could sprinkle your magic pixie dust and everything would, all the problems would disappear and everything would improve and be better, where would you sprinkle your magic pixie dust?
Oh, that's tricky because 2 areas come to mind, but I don't want to cheat and throw both in there. I think the most important is training for my staff because they are the front line. Ultimately, I can't be in every shop at every hour of the day. So training, that's barista training, but also understanding, how to work alongside of someone who works differently from you and how to ultimately make the customer your obsession. How do we make the customer our obsession? So I would say training.
That's a great answer. So listen, before we wrap up with our last question, where can people find you on social media and websites?
So we have, until we consolidate everything, there's a couple of places you can find us.
Okay.
Our website is joybarcoffee.com. That's where all of the information on our model, booking our truck, you can actually order online. If you go to that website, there's a link to online ordering. Our coffee shop is 83 Custom Coffee LLC on Instagram. We also have Joybar Coffee on Instagram. And then Mallory Page Designs has kind of become it's less business focused and it's more just our personal story. It's some very silly videos, but it's just a day in the life of Mallory and I and living, the sibling caregiving life, because a lot of people are curious about that, but you'll get to see some funny behind the scenes footage on that. That's on Instagram and TikTok, Mallory Page Designs.
Awesome. And my last question for the day is, what is most inspiring to you right now?
Although we're not a nonprofit, I work very closely with an amazing nonprofit called The Arc. There's a chapter in most major cities in every state. I am actually on the board of the Arc of High Point, and I also love the National Down Syndrome Society. I've done tons of fundraising for them. I know the president and the people associated with that very, very well. They're so small. They're tiny. Like it's, 4 to 5 people who are, and mostly women, who are as passionate about serving this community as I am, and the amount of change that they can affect for people like my sister, the lobbying for legislation and understanding these archaic laws that ultimately hold our loved ones back. They're making such big change, and there's so few people in them doing it. So I am inspired again by the giant impact that just one very passionate person can have. And I'm inspired by these very small nonprofits that are making huge waves in the IDD community, if you would.
I am inspired by you today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tiffany, thank you so much for sharing your story and Mallory's story and the story of Joybar Coffee with us today. And listen, I encourage everybody, go check them out on the web, on the Insta, on TikTok. If you're in the North Carolina, Central North Carolina area, like stop by, get a cup of coffee. I know I'm going to make a trip over to High Point. I have 2 godkids over at High Point University, and this is going to be on my next
What
trip.
a small world.
I know. They run track. So I'm actually going to be there this weekend for their first outdoor track meet.
Very
So
cool. You must come see us.
I will come see you. I will absolutely come see you on Saturday. This has been amazing. And you are exactly the kind of innovative, inspirational business owner. I hope, more people have, the guts and the heart to emulate. So thank you so much. Hey, listen, if you guys enjoyed this episode, please share this with your friends. Let them know about the beautiful story of Joybar Coffee and how maybe they as well can think about giving the dignity of work to more and more people in our community. So thank you so much, Tiffany.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys next time.
See ya.